Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for viewing. I appreciate you a lot, guys. This weekend was awesome, man. I went and saw The Lion King. The Lion King. That movie is something I've been waiting on for probably a few months. Ever since I saw the trailer and the previews of it, I was just so amped for that movie because obviously it's nostalgic to me. I'm 34. I'm going to date myself, 34. So I think it was, I don't know. It seems like I saw that movie when I was 12. I don't know if that's accurate, but nonetheless, I was really, really anticipating this movie. And this is not, I'm not trying to be a critic here over the movie and, this is not that podcast, but I was very enlightened in that movie and quite frankly, kind of irritable at the same time. Because for those of you who are the uninitiated with that movie, it's essentially a man, the cub, finding his rite of passage in terms of him evolving into a man and manhood. That's essentially the diagram of the story. It's a boy becoming a man, finding his rite of passage. And for that reason, I've always loved the movie because it obviously is tailor-made for every man to follow in that type of a dynamic. That's what we're called to do. We're called to become men, obviously, as we evolve and grow. And so clearly, Simba, the cub in the movie, or he is a cub for the majority of the movie, in the beginning at least, he is thrown into this turmoil from his father dying, and he dies right in front of him. And I mean, if that wasn't horrific enough, he goes off and he's just so depressed and so just glutton with this I can't find my words for it, but he's just so completely depressed. I don't know why I'm explaining the story. I'm sure 99% of you have seen it. If you haven't seen it, I don't know what you're doing with your life. If you haven't seen The Lion King, you're missing out on an incredible storyline. I mean, so if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to even explain it to you. You can go watch it. You need to watch it. But here's what I was irritated with. This man, and I think this incorporates into a lot of our lives. This cub, Simba, after he's so distraught from seeing his father pass and thinking that it was his fault, he goes off away from the pride and he stumbles upon this jungle where he meets a couple of friends. One, a meerkat, and another one, a boar, a pig. And because Simba is so impressionable, because he's so young at the moment, and obviously he wants to be accepted. He wants to find his tribe, so to speak, which that can date back to every single one of us trying to find our tribe, our identity, trying to figure out who we are. And Simba is now amongst a meerkat and a pig, two of which are nothing like him, both neurologically, genetically, wire-wise, nothing like the lion. But because Simba is brought into this habitat at such young, impressionable age, he doesn't know any better, and he sees people that accept him, and so he follows their lead, so to speak. And amongst this time that he's living and he's growing and he's evolving into the lion that he is, during the process, the meerkat, Timon, and Pumbaa, the pig, they teach him the constructs of their world, or what their belief system is and their theologies and everything. And it's so backwards backwards from what Simba was taught from his dad at a young age. But because he doesn't understand any different at this point, because he just lost his dad. He's not with the pride. He's on a completely different trajectory now. He now adopts these principles, albeit they're skewed, and they're skewed for his wiring and his DNA and how he should approach life and how he should approach just concepts in general and what he was taught and from an early age. He now adopts these principles and makes them his own. And basically, for lack of a better word, becomes, honestly, I don't want to say it because I remember I'm not cussing. That's on here at least. So he becomes a weak version of what he was manifested and conceived to be since the beginning of his birth. He's a weak version, and he's a distorted version of who he's really supposed to be. And, you don't want to blame. It's like you don't want to blame him because you can't blame him. A, because it's fairy tale. It's not real. And B, because when he was brought into this habitat, he didn't understand any different, and he was impressionable. And so he follows these weak animals into their philosophies and their ideologies and everything and such. And that's what he adopts. And he thinks he's basically a pig or a meerkat. I mean, he doesn't understand who he is. And it isn't until Nala, which is the another cub that he grew up with amongst the tribe, goes and searches for him because the pride is being taken over by this piece of crap lion, his uncle. And that is definitely unintegral, a coward, manipulative, etc., etc. And the Nala comes back and searches for Simone, or Simba, because they need a leader. And to her dismay, she finds Simba, and he's basically... Gosh, it's so hard for me not to call this guy names, because it's not that I'm calling Simba and I want to call Simba a name and beat him up. He doesn't know any better. It's for everything and every person in my life that I see this way, including areas of myself that I have been weak to. I'm talking to those people. I'm talking to the inner scaredy cat that I have had in me in certain areas of my life, in certain times of my life. That's who I want to beat up. That's who I want to call out. That's who I want to name call against. It has nothing to do with Simba. Although, that's what this entire podcast is about. It's about knowing whose you are. See, Simba didn't know whose he was. He didn't know how he was. He didn't know the kind of person that he was, the kind of animal that he had inside of him. And he was a weakened version because he's hanging out with weak animals. He's hanging out with weak animals. And because of this, I'm seeing this, and I'm seeing what he is, and his big, large mane, and his roar, and his stature, and all too often we associate ourselves with people of the wrong kind. And you know what I mean when I say that? I'm not talking about race, gender, such and such and such. So don't get offended here. I'm talking about you hang out with people that are less than you're meant to be. Period. You hang out with people, you run with the pack, that's a weakened version of what God placed in your spirit, has cultivated in your soul to be. You hang out with a weakened version, and because of that, you become suppressed. You become suppressed on your just genetic DNA disposition. You become suppressed in your thought pattern. You become suppressed in what you can achieve, what you believe, etc., etc. Because you're trying to coordinate yourself around the people that are accepting of you. And I get it. You want to be accepted, so you run with tribes that will accept you. But that's not to say that these tribes are the best tribe for you. These people have your best interests at heart. This meerkat and this pig are trying to teach this lion Hakuna Matata, no worries. That is BS. In the jungle or in the jungle and the pride, that's BS. You don't say no worries. You kill. You hunt, you kill. That's his DNA. That's his wiring. And this meerkat and this pig are teaching this guy to be a pussy. And that is not what his DNA is wired for. His DNA is wired to hunt, to kill, to prey. Maybe much like yourself. Maybe your DNA is saying something completely different. Maybe your wiring is telling you something to be a completely different version. But because the people who accept you are less than what you have lived, what you feel in your body, in your gut, in your loin, your visceral, that you can be and what you should be, you adopt their principles instead. You're too weak to become the version that God made you to be. And that's all encompassing around who you're kicking it with, who you're allowing in your life. This lion is a king, and he's hanging out with a rat and a pig. He should not be hanging out with a rat and a pig. He should be hanging out with his pride. Because in the jungle, that's what you do. Animals flock with other animals that are alike. You don't see wildebeest running with the giraffes. You get my point. But what I'm saying is animals run with their kind. Now, I'm not saying only run with your race, only run with your gender, I'm not saying that. I'm saying adopt people in your life that see the potential in you, that have their foresights on bigger and better things and have a belief system that's unshakable. If you don't, you're by nature going to adopt their strategies, their principles, their ideologies. And it probably is less than what you were equipped for. And because of that, you get brought down, you get suppressed. So at the end of the day, it's no one's fault but yours. See, God put something in you, and if you don't live into that, and if you don't capitalize on what that is, you're never going to be what you were called to be. I talk about this a lot. So much. But almost everything can date back to that. Like watching The Lion King, I had no idea that I'd feel this way about the movie. In fact, I forgot a lot about what The Lion King was even about. But in terms of I forgot how Mufasa died, put it that way. I forgot how that happened. And I just forgot a lot of details in the story because it's been more than a decade since I've seen the movie. And the thing that got to me the most as an adult watching the movie now and being able to dissect it differently, this is so applicatory in so many people's lives, my life included. I'm not immune to this. Or void from this. This is something that affects me too. If I'm hanging and kicking it with people that are not on the same wavelength as me, I believe I'm on a certain wavelength, and if you're not on my wavelength or higher, then I believe that there could be a common tendency to get brought down, or you get brought up to my wavelength. But if you ride a higher wavelength, it's just so important for you to strive to associate yourself with people that are among that same wavelength. I'm not saying don't associate with people that are below that don't maybe have the same strive as you. Absolutely not. You can associate with them, absolutely. Talk with them, enlighten them, brighten their day, continue to put new inspiration their way. But here's the thing. Don't allow yourself to be drained by those people. Don't allow yourself to be given your time and your energy, and so much so that it takes from you and it decredits or discounts where you're going. Or you adopt their ideologies or their principles because maybe their principles are less offensive to people, and maybe they think that they have something to school you with or help you to see. But really it's just because they're so maybe you're so black and white and they're so gray. Or maybe that's a bad analogy. Maybe you're so far right and they're so far left because they're just too scared of offending people, or too scared of saying the wrong thing. And so they're kind of passive, and maybe what's in you is an aggression. Maybe there's a tender aggression in you, but with them it's all passive. And because of that, you end up adopting maybe what their principles are just to save face or blah blah blah. I don't know. But here's the thing. If you continue to run with packs that are not your kind, you're going to have a point in where you are being brought down to a level that you're not meant to live at. So just like this meerkat, just like this pig, they're not lions. And they saw this guy as their leader. The guy could be their leader. And because of that, they want him in their life. But see, the lion is not, that's not his position. He needs to take up his position. And it wasn't until Nala showed him what his face is in the pond. This is who you are. You're a lion. You're your dad. So you act like it. You don't act like a pig or a meerkat. You act like the lion that's in you. And some of you have a lion in you. But some of you are being suppressed by everybody around you that you're kicking it with, because they're not lions. They're not lions like you. They don't have your wiring. But because you want to save face, and because you maybe care about these people, you adopt their principles. But you're losing on everything that God intended for you to have. You're losing it. For what? To save face to somebody else that at the end of the day don't care about you like you care about yourself? Let me let you in on something about people. They don't care about you. They don't care about everything that you care about. They don't care if you have a toothache. They don't care if you have a headache. They may promote some empathy, but they don't really care like you care about it. If you have a toothache or a headache, that's everything to you at the time. That's just a figment of somebody's thought if you tell them that you have a headache or a toothache. They don't care. It's in and it's out. So why would they care about where you're going in life? Why would they care as much about the gifts and the talents and the overall processing of what you want in your life? Why would they care about that like you do? They don't. I'm not saying people cannot add value, because they absolutely do. And you add value to others. But at the same time, recognize your pack. Recognize your tribe and where you belong and whose you are, where you come from. You don't come from something that's a low-level God, someone who's a low-level God. You come from an almighty, powerful, omnipresent, omnipotent God. He created the entire world. You belong to Him. He doesn't make mediocre. So stop running with mediocre people. Stop running with people that don't have the same drive or same ambition as you or the same goal in life. Stop running with them. The hardest thing to do is going to be to depart from people that you've adopted in your life, but it's going to be the best thing that you ever did, because now you can thrive in everything that you were meant to be and ingrained to be. Your friends, don't take that lightly. Who you run with, don't take them lightly. They have a lot to give you, or they'll have a lot to take from you. And if you're not running with the pride that you belong to, you're never going to discover everything that you could have been.